Let's talk about the 5 things every intermediate guitar player should be working on or already have under their fingers. As a guitar teacher, I have tons of people coming to me who can already play some guitar, but they feel kind of lost and aimless. In today's day and age, when there's 20 million of us on YouTube telling you to do these 5 pentatonic hacks or all these kinds of things, it's almost impossible to figure out what to actually do. So I wanted to make this video as a North Star if you're in that intermediate guitarist camp where you can play some songs and you're comfortable on the instrument, but you just don't know what to do next. These are 5 things that apply to you no matter what kind of guitar you play, what kind of music you play, or anything. These 5 things apply to all guitarists in all situations. So the first thing intermediate guitarists should know already or be working on is the different ways you can play a scale. For example, we have our major scale. Let's say let's do B major today. Let's say we're in B major. From there, we can just keep going up vertically like that. But we can also play it in 3 notes per string like this. So it's important to know what the different ways you can do that are and how the scales connect to each other. So let's briefly go over this real quick. I'm going to go over those 2 ways to play the major scale and then how this connects to the minor scale. So, if we're in B major, that first way I played it, I like to call this playing it vertically, is 7th fret on the E, 9th fret on the E, 6th fret on the A, 7th fret on the A, 9th fret on the A, 6th fret on the D, 8th fret on the D, 9th fret on the D, 6th fret on the G, 8th fret on the G, 9th fret on the G, 7th fret on the B, 9th fret on the B. This is kind of an either or one. Either 11th fret on the B or 6th fret on the E. It's the same note, it's just kind of a different approach. And then the 1 again, 7th fret of the E. And then you can go up to the 9th fret too to finish the position. So let's play up that slowly. I'm going to use the 6th fret on the E string instead of the 11th on the B for this example while I play it slowly, and you can play along. Alright, now another way to play that, like I was saying just a second ago, is to play it on 3 notes per string. So we're going to go over that as well. So that's the same notes. Like playing it 3 note per string or playing it vertically, you're playing the exact same thing. It's just a different way to visualize what you're playing and look at it in a new way, and it opens more doors in your playing the more ways you can see things. So, let me walk through it slowly with you. In B major, we would have 7 on the E, 9 on the E, 11 on the E, 7 on the A, 9 on the A, 11 on the A, 8 on the D, 9 on the D, 11 on the D, 8 on the G, 9 on the G, 11 on the G, 9 on the B, 11 on the B, 12 on the B, 9 on the E, 11 on the E, 12 on the E. I'm going to play that one up and down slowly as well for you to play along with. Now, a very important piece of knowledge is how this scale connects to other scales, because the major scale and the minor scale are essentially the same scale starting from different spots. And if you can know that, you can move around a lot easier without as much brute force learning, just the regular putting your time and effort into amount of learning. So if we're to take those notes and count up with the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. If you've been watching my channel, you see me do that probably every other video, but it really is that important because it opens a lot of doors for conceptualizing things. For example, if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, what's special about that sixth note is that that's the note that the minor scale starts on. So if we were in B major, our minor would be G sharp minor. And when you can see that, you can start to move around a lot more easily, because there's also B major down on the A string, very similarly to how we played it vertically. So if you can get the B major scale there, G sharp minor here, B major scale here again, with just those two scales you have half of the fretboard unlocked basically to be able to move around on. So it's very important as an intermediate guitar player to be looking at where your scales fit together and how you can use these pieces in your playing. The second thing we should be working on is our triads, and our triads are just our chords broken down into their most basic pieces. So if we were to take a B major chord, that chord only has 3 notes, and if we figure out what those are and how we can play them everywhere. So we're just going to do it in this one position here. And the idea with these triads, like I said, is just the 3 notes in the chord. So if we're taking that B major, we go back to counting with the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. The notes of B major are just the first note, the third note, and the fifth note. And if we go up here, first note, third note, fifth note, first note, all the way up the chord. So it's important to slow down and figure out where all of those notes fit in to the fretboard. So if we're to go down like this, on the top here we would have 7th fret on the B and E, and then 8th fret on the G. And this is our triad in its first inversion. And what that means is we took the 1, instead of the 1 being on the bottom, it's on the top. So this chord is 3, 5, 1. And then we go down, we take that 1, and we put it on the bottom, and then we have 1, 3, 5. So this would be 9th fret on the D, 8th fret on the G, 7th fret on the B. And this is our root position because we have 1, 3, 5. And then we take that 5, put it on the bottom on the 9th fret of the D. So we have 9th fret of the A. So we have 9 on A, 9 on D, 8 on G. And that's our second inversion because now we have the 5 on the bottom. 5, 1, 3. And then we take that 3, put it on the bottom. Now we have 3, 5, 1. And this is 11 on the E and then 9 on the A and D. So let me play down all of those slowly and play along with me. And then back up. And the reason getting these intervals down inside of the chords is so important is because we can use those to make minor chords, which I'll go into in just a second. But I just want to tell you how important it is to really slow down when you're practicing this, and instead of just drilling it, which is a really valuable thing to do, because if your hands can't play it, how are you going to play it? But you also want to slow down when you're doing that and label the intervals, like how we just did, like 3, 5, 1, okay, 1, 3, 5, okay, 5, 1, 3, okay, 3, 5, 1, okay. Just really lock those in, because now when we go to minor chords, all we're doing is taking the third, bring it down a fret, which is just these 2 notes going down a fret. So everything else would stay exactly the same. So I'm not even going to slow down and explain minor to you super in depth, because if you sit there with the major and go 3, 5, 1, okay, go through them, it'll be easy. You just have to move the 3 down a fret, but it will look like this. those would be the B minor triads in that first position. By the way, if you want to be around other guitar players that are putting the work into hitting their goals and get free help hitting your goals, including all of the stuff in these videos mapped out all across the fretboard, then join my free community link down below. The fourth thing we should be working on is being more creative with our picking. As this intermediate guitar level, you don't want to just always be playing the most basic pentatonic licks that every boomer guitar player is playing, right? No hate to my boomers, I love you guys, but we can't be playing the same bend for forever. So a big thing is to change the way you go about picking, and there's a few ways to do this. Number one is string skipping. Now, string skipping is literally just skipping over a string. So that playing that octave on the A, which is I'm playing 7 on the D and then 10 on the B, I'm skipping over a string to do that. And a very important thing when you're string skipping is to think about the angling of your pick. So when you're skipping over a string, you want to angle your pick like away from the string, so when you pick, you're naturally going over the string. That way you don't have to pick, lift, pick, but you can scoop the pick kind of. Especially if you're alternate picking, you can pick up and then scoop it down instead of pick up, pick. So pick up, scoop it down. And even if you're just down picking both, you can still scoop up, and then glide down. Instead of pick up, down, pick, just glide up, down. And then you can keep it as a more solid motion. Like this G string is open right now. If I hit it, you can hear, well, let me pick a different note so it's not the same note. I'm going right over it. Like if I hit it, it would sound terrible. And I'm not pick up, down, pick. I'm just gliding the pick over the string and then bringing it down onto the next string. And when you do this in your improvising, you can take any sort of lick that you already have down. Say you got like that's just a little pentatonic, like A minor pentatonic. You can just skip over that G string. Instead of going from D string to G string, try going from D string to B string, or even D string to E string. And you can experiment with this string skipping all around the fretboard. So like so just mess around with skipping over strings and coming up with unique phrases doing that. Another picking technique you can use to be more creative is in your strumming, picking individual strings. So when you're playing a G chord, instead of just the whole chord always, while you're picking the chord, try hitting just one note at a time. And this is also string skipping, by the way. It's the exact same skill to go from strumming to doing just one note at a time as it is to skip over a note, because you have to skip over notes to do that. A common method is kind of like I'm doing here, to pick the lowest note between every note and then just go up and pick other notes. Right now, I think this would be a great exercise. Grab a G chord and then E, E, B, E, G, E, D, E, A. Just to get your hands more comfortable with that idea. And it's that same thing of scooping up and then coming back on the alternate pick. Number 5 is a logical understanding of what playing with feel means. Like we hear people all the time go like, oh, play it with more feel, bro. Can you play that with more feel? What does that mean though? Well, playing with feel is using your chord tones and your dynamics, like realistically, because there's certain notes that you apply to a chord that have that like ooh sound. Like if I'm playing like a A minor here, that's like a wrong note, but it kind of has some feel to it. Now, why is that? Well, I'm working it into a chord tone. We were on A minor. This is A minor up here. Those minor triads we were talking about. That's one of them. So that's the flat 5 going into the 5. So it's actually like a tritone. And not just using your chord tones creatively like that, like playing wrong notes going into them, or playing just like specific chord tones. Like if we play the 9 on that one, which is the same note as the 2, by the way. Little hack. I think the 9 has a lot of strong pull on it. And not just the chord tones, but the dynamics of your playing as well. A lot of playing with feel is playing with dynamics. If you come in and you're always just picking as hard as you can, or vice versa, if you come in and you're always picking as soft as you can, eventually it starts to lose the emotion. No matter how intelligent you are with your note choices, it doesn't matter, because the thing you're playing needs to breathe, especially when you're improvising. So changing that intensity is great. Say I'm playing over like an A minor to a D. I can start really slow, or not slow, but light on my dynamics. And then if I start ramping it up, it starts to have a lot of feel to it, because I'm changing what's going on. I'm adding some emotion. I'm telling a story. And the logical way of doing that is changing the intensity at which you play what you're playing. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you tomorrow.